Okay. I would share a little bit about product design and then we'll go into the practical aspect of things. If you feel like I'm moving too fast at any point in time, please feel free to, call my attention. I'll try to finish as quick as possible such that we can have room to ask questions, even though it's a pretty short period that would be using in this class. I would just like to show us what we can do in product design. I'm a self-taught product designer, which means I did not need, nobody taught me, as the case may be. I bought courses online, don't get me wrong, but I went through that process myself. I mean, I had gotten started in product design. I had gotten a job way before I started networking with people and then trying to bounce ideas off each fellow product designer. So it's something that you can, you know, um, do. And that's one of the things transition school is positioning themselves to help you do. Because trust me, it's not easy. If you decide to go alone, there's trying to motivate yourself, trying to try as much as possible to, finish up courses. But when you have a plan where um, it is structured and they can guide you through every phase. You have the opportunity to ask questions as a, when do you trust me? It makes your learning much easier, makes your journey much easier. And transition school even positions themselves to, help you by the time you are done with your project, help you rightly position yourself, for a role, for a job as the case may be, which is the sweetest offer you can ever get, actually. Imagine finishing your learning and then you are positioned for a role. When I was learning, I didn't have that. So I think that's something that we should all key into. Okay, without wasting so much of our time, just give me a sec. Please let me know if you can see my screen. Just, leave it in the comment section as well if you can see my screen. I'm sure maybe some of us on this call are probably familiar with what UI UX is, but still, I would just like to quickly run us through, what UI UX is, try to take us through. I'll probably not share all of my slides so that we can quickly get into the practical aspect of things. All right. Give me a sec. Yeah. So when we talk about the cost benefits for UI UX that we have, one of the things we would help you do is kickstart your journey. Would help enhance your skill in UI, your skill in UX, because UX UI is a skill actually. Trust me. The ability to conceptualize ideas for a product or a service that you are designing, the ability to work on screens, make them visually appealing, and the ability to conduct user research and all those things. These are skills that can be learned. I strongly believe that anything can be learned if you put your mind to it. We help you master certain tools, also tools proficiency, portfolio enhancements. Now, perhaps you're new to the world of UX design. There's something that you can't do without. It's like the CV for UX designers or UI designers, and that's portfolio. And it's very important that as a UI UX designer, see, if you're going to be, applying to jobs, as much as yes, it's okay to have a CV, one thing that people want to see that is an evidence of maybe how proficient you are in UI UX, it's your portfolio. They always want to see works in your portfolio. And this is also something transition school will be helping you do. So they are not just going to throw you into the wild and say, okay, and we are going to teach you and then bye-bye. No, we'll teach you. You work on projects that you can add to your portfolio that can help you get started in the world of UI UX. So if you are transitioning from maybe a medical skill, a medical line, or maybe from the law sector or the health sector, don't be afraid, because by the time you have portfolio and then, like my colleague rightly said, we are helping you with LinkedIn optimization. So by the time you do all of those things, you work on CV, optimize your LinkedIn, have a portfolio, trust me, you are setting yourself up properly to get started in the world of UX. And then we also help you with the user-centered mindset. which is the crux of every UX designer out there. You have to be empathetic. I'm sure some of us must have heard that word from time to time. Now, what really is product design? Product design, combines a lot of times people use this term loosely. UI UX design, product design. You still even see some people call themselves full stack product designers. So a lot of time people can like to mix up all these terms, but it's simple. It's important that we break it down. For one, don't think there's a difference between UI UX design and product design, if you ask me. But it's all encompassing. When we talk about product design, it describes the process of imagining, creating, iterating products that actually solve users' problem. Now, products can be services, or they can be physical products as well. So if you design how a user is supposed to move from point A to point B, you are designing an experience. Now, I like to define UX as how your users perceive a service or a product that they've used, that you designed, how they perceive it, how easy it makes them feel, how seamless it was when they were using it, and the overall, reaction to the product that you've designed. And why user interface is that visually appealing thing that you can see. I like to use this example. If you eat McDonald's, for example, now if you see how they layer all the buns, you have two buns, one at the bottom and one at the top, and then in between you have maybe steak or ham or what have you, and then you have cabbages in the middle. You see how they arrange those things to look good. That's like the UI of that particular product. But when you take a bite, how sumptuous it is on your taste buds, how nice it tastes, that is the experience. So you are literally experiencing the sweetness of all the things that they have combined together to give you that burger product. A quick example also would be maybe that fancy car that you like, maybe a Tesla. When you see a Tesla on the outside, the way they mold it, the thermodynamics, how the tail lights look like, how the bumper is nicely carved to make it come out that is the aesthetically pleasing part of it. That is the UI of the car. But when you enter inside the car and then you sit on it and then you feel the softness of the chair, you hold onto the wheels, you try to turn the wheels, they are soft in turning, it's not hard, and then you push a button, just one button, and then it shows you a display of the road you are driving at, and then you push one button, everything. So you are experiencing the product at that point in time. That is the user experience, and user experience cuts across all facets of life. So these are some other roles in UI UX that all encompasses to make product design. There's user research, there's motion design, there's UX writing, and we can see that on the screens. So these are some of the tools that you can use in product design for practicing, for collaboration, for hosting your portfolio, for freelance, and for design itself. So I won't get into all of that. For the purpose of this class, we'll be focusing on using Figma. So certain fields that you can work in as a UX UI designer, trust me, I always tell people this, there is no field that you can work in as a UX designer. Here in the United Kingdom, you find lots and lots of people in different sectors. I've seen UI UX designers in art, like people that collect art and then they build gallerias, basically, or gallery, what have you. You'll find UX designers in that space. You find UX designers working with hospitals. You find UX designers working in the automobile sector. You find UX designers working in the food sector. You find UX designers in agricultural sector and all those things. So different areas, UI UX designers are very, very useful. Any field, really. I've seen UI UX designers that were doctors, and then they combine their knowledge of medicine with their knowledge of UI UX design to make a product that can actually serve end users, patients, and so on. So there are unlimited opportunities for a UI UX designer, trust me. We'll talk about how to land the role soonest. So I'll quickly jump into Figma just to give you a demonstration of how you can actually get started in UI UX design. So please, if you can still see my screen, let me know. Please, what can you see on the screen? What can you see on the screen? Can you see my Figma screen?
We can see just number 6, practical. Let's head into Figma here.
Oh, okay. Give me a sec. Let me reshare. All right. Okay, can you see my Figma screen now?
Yes.
All right. That's great. Yeah, so for the purpose of this class, I would just want to do a quick demo. See, when we get into the course fully, I'll begin to explain this entire interface to you, what it entails. But because we don't have time, I would just like to jump quickly into the practical. Figma is a pretty easy software to use. Trust me, you don't need to stress yourself. I think if you spend a day with Figma, you'd get around with the basics. It just has how many tools up here. So this is the panel up here for the tools. This is the select or scale tool. So if I select, you can use it to select anything and move anything up and down, which is what that does. This one is for frames. You'll see the use of frames very soon. So you can literally, frames are like the containers that you design in. If you are designing a mobile, if you are designing a desktop, so you can use these frames for that. For section, you can use it to section each of your designs. So for example, maybe I'm designing WhatsApp now. All the screens I'll design under status, I can put all of them in a section. Maybe all the screens I'll design under the charts, I'll put all of them in a section. So that's for sectioning. You don't really get to use slides that much. I mean, this is the one for shapes. Shapes, all manner of shapes, rectangle, ellipse, polygon, line, arrow. This is your pen tool. Some of us that are graphics designers will probably be familiar with this on Photoshop or CorelDRAW. Pen tools, you can use them to, draw anything that you would like. Draw a bird, draw a car. Yeah, and that's what pen tool is. Now, text tool for writing text, pretty much easy. This is one of the things that, one of the widgets that Figma recently added in the update. So you can easily access your components or your plugins and stuff. Now, move tool is just to move things around, move the screen around, and then move. And then finally, this one is for commenting. So if you are collaborating, yeah, Figma is also a collaborative tool. So you are working with other designers, and then you finish designing the screen, and then you want other designers to see, oh, I designed this. Or most importantly, engineers, just like they said, you'll be working with engineers if you join a transition school. So maybe you finish designing the screen and you want to leave a comment for the engineer to say, from this screen to this screen, I want you to incorporate a micro interaction. So if you do this, it has already told you comment, and then you can add all manner of comments that you want to add, and then tag somebody. So if I use art, it begins to display all the people that I've worked with on this particular project. So you can use the art to tag the engineer, and then the engineer will receive that mail in their box, and then it will bring them straight to this place to do whatever it is that you've asked them to do. Yeah, so for the purpose of this class, we'll be recreating this particular mobile view. One of the things that helped me when I started out as a designer was recreating existing pages. Now you have to be careful with that. I always tell people, don't just go online and copy people's work and then claim it as your own. If you are caught, sorry. Sometimes there was a guy that copied somebody's design, and then eventually he was caught. And when they caught him, it was not funny. They dragged him a whole lot on Twitter, and eventually he had to apologize and all that. So you don't want to be caught doing that. But like I said, for the sake of this class, we'll do a recreation. So I don't know if you saw what I just did. I went to this place, our frames, like I was mentioning earlier. So let's say I want to design this mobile that I showed just now. See, I come here. These are presets that you can choose from. So you want to design for iPhone 15, iPhone 13, iPhone 14, they already have it. If it's a tablet you want to design for, they already have presets ready for you that you can just click and it automatically gives you a frame. If you want to design for desktop, even for TV, it is here. All different sizes that you're designing for, you have it here. So for the purpose of this class, let's say, let me choose iPhone 13. Yeah, iPhone 13. So one of the things I always tell people is this. When it comes to designing interfaces, you have to think of it like this. Don't look at it as this very big thing or very difficult thing, and then it's looking far-fetched. No, think of it as it's a combination of shapes, colors, pictures, and texts. That is how I see it. And then sometimes icons. So combination of shapes, colors, images, texts, and icons. If you look at it that way, trust me, it will become easier. So all that you are seeing here, somebody just decided to combine images and then text and make it look good. And that's how it looks good. If you check into your favorite applications, WhatsApp, TikTok, Instagram, all you will see there is a combination of images, texts, shapes, colors. That's all everybody plays with. Even every graphic design that you see, that's what they play on. Text, color, shape. So if we start, if you look at this particular image here of people playing, you see that it's just one big rectangle or square, whatever you would call it, that has a picture inside. So I go to my shapes tool. The very first thing I click on a rectangle and then I draw. That's the first thing. So I already have, let's reduce this a bit. Okay, so I already have my rectangle, which is what they have here. So now I would introduce you guys to plugins just to
Hi,
make,
Remy. This is Praise.
yeah,
Sorry to disturb you. Could you please check your message for just 1 minute? Thank you.
okay. Guys, please give me a sec. All right, so guys, like I said, for the purpose of this class, I'll just introduce you guys to plugins quickly. So plugins are like stuffs that make your design work easy, and you can find that in the Figma community. So if I come here, I choose Unsplash. I'm sure some of us are familiar with Unsplash. Unsplash is like a free resource for images, clear images. So I've opened my Unsplash on this side, and then I can come and search for football players or maybe football pitch, what have you, whichever one you decide to search for. So it begins to show me pitch, or okay, let's use football match instead. Football match. So guys, are we following me? Do we have any questions so far? You can just leave it in the comment section. Let me know that you're following, basically. If you have questions so far, you can leave them in the comment section. If you're following so far, also drop them in the comment section. Thank you. So yeah, this is a picture of a football game. And I click on this. And then notice that this frame, I selected it down. So as I clicked on the image here, it has automatically added it to, my screen. Good. So we move on to the next thing. What are we adding next? Okay, just to note also that the corners of these images are rounded. So what do we do? Look at right here. We have corner radius in the, properties panel. So let me shoot this off to like 20. Let's see. So we have what? 20. Does it align? It's not looking aligned yet. Let's do 20. Okay. So now it's looking like what we can see here. It's looking like what we can see here, basically. So yeah, that is done. We move on to text. What do you have here? England defender to leave Manchester City. That's just text, basically. So I come here, I choose my text tool, and I put it here. And then I write England defender to leave Manchester. Sorry if you're not a football fan, I apologize, but this was what came to mind. But basically, I'm trying to show you how that, I mean, when we get into the class, we'll begin to talk about margins, spacing, and all that. And then it becomes easier. So I increase the font size, and then I make it bold, as you can see. So I think the line spacing is too much. I come here, I reduce the line spacing for this particular. Yeah. And then it's reducing, okay. Let me just do this, 120. Yeah. So it's pretty much closer now. And then I add this. So I check 18 on this side. Let's do 20. Oh, no, let's do 15. Good. And it's already looking like what we have here. If you look at this place again, what do you have? You still have text. So I click on my text tool again, and I write again, Thursday, 26 May 2022. And then I use this, let's put a space, England. Good. Now, what do you notice? You notice there's a difference between this text and this particular text up here. So which tells me I have to, work on my text. This one is smaller. So I go for a smaller font size. Say, let's do 10. This one is not as thick. So I go and reduce the font weight to, say, light. Okay, maybe not light. Let's do regular. And then one other thing I notice is that the color of the text is slightly different. So what can I do? I can do this two ways. I can decide to reduce the opacity. Now, opacity is the visibility of the text. And then by the time I reduce the opacity, the effects that I have, I can now come and choose this particular color. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So now that I've reduced the opacity, I can come to this color side and choose this type of color here. But that's one way to do it. And in order not to confuse us, I'll just go back to this and then just directly change the color here such that it is less visible. So can you see it's beginning to look like this? And then what do you have next again? You still have texts. So I come here. So I'm holding now, one of the things I'm using to duplicate, I forgot to mention, is you click on this and then you hold Alt down on your keyboard and then you drag out. Once you hold Alt down, you drag out. So here is this. And no, I must mention too, because we really don't have time, and that's one of the reasons I'm rushing through. You can begin to create components out of this, or design systems out of this. So the way I already have this text now, I can decide, okay, this is my body one, and then I come here and begin to make text out of this. I can decide to, save this particular text format such that any other page I'm going to design, if I have need for this particular one, I'll just come to this, my text here, and then choose from here. I don't know if you get me. So that's how you begin to build design systems. And you can do that for other components, other, colors, even colors too. As you can see right here, I have color styles, I have text styles right here. All right, so moving on quickly. Let me delete this. I choose my text again. I can now decide, because this one has plenty text, I can decide to make a text field or a text area out of this box. And then sorry, for the sake of this class, I'll just have to duplicate. I'll have to duplicate a lot of this. So pardon me. Yeah. So let's say this is our text. Then I click out. Good. And then let me reduce this text box. You notice our texts are, like squeezed. There's no breathing space. You can also come here and increase the line height such that there's breathing space in the text. This is one of the principles that you'll be learning when you eventually, join the classes about how to format your text, how to increase all these things for visibility and legibility of your reader. These are things that you would actually consider. Okay, so there's a little bit of breathing space. I can decide to add more such that it is readable. So permit me just to do that. Now, if you notice this part, so this is where it can get a little bit tricky now. This part is fading while there is text on top of this. So to achieve this, let me quickly run through this. I'll choose my shape and then draw a shape over this. Round the corners as well. Or you can decide which specific corners you want to round. So let's say I round this particular one. Okay. Smoothing the corners. Good. Now, here is where it gets tricky. So I come here, instead of fill, I choose gradients. Instead of fill, I choose gradients. In this particular part, so the gradient, the linear has splitted this color scheme into two. So on this one, I can change to white. I can change this one to white. And then this one, I can begin to make white as well. I can begin to make white as well. And note, in this white part of it, I can come and reduce the opacity. Are you seeing? Are you seeing? So as I'm reducing the opacity here, now the texts are becoming visible, but however faded. And this is the effect that we are looking for. So you can see the text, but slightly, it's like it's faded over it. So yeah, that is the effect that we are going for. That is the effect that we are going for. And then let me drag this towards this side a bit. And then also click on this, make it a bit whiter. Yeah. So that is the effect that we are going for. If I choose this again, I increase this a bit. I mean, we don't have time. We can make it as perfect as this if we have the time. Yeah, but let's leave that for now. Yeah. And so we can now begin to put all this on this. What are all these ones? They are texts. If you see again, they are texts. So I come here, I click on my text again, add read more. And then I bring this here to this place. Good. Now discussing. Click on my text again. Now discussing. I don't know if you are following along. I mean, if you're following, just also leave a comment. And if it's interesting, please tell me, oh, okay, you're enjoying this. This is interesting. Or you are finding it, or you think it is, if you think it's also ambiguous, like, no, this thing is too much for me, you can also put it in the comment section, just to know where each person is at. So now discussing, now this looks thicker. So I can come here, increase the font width, make this bold. So if you look at this place, all you have is images inside circles, images inside circles, images inside circles. So what do? I come to my shapes tool up here. I pick circle. I draw a very small circle. Now, when you are drawing circle, to achieve a perfect circle, you hold down the shift key on your keyboard. The shift key on your keyboard. the shift key on your keyboard. Okay. So a lot of people find it interesting. That's good. That's good. Thank you. So you hold the shift key on your keyboard. Remember our plugin here on Splash. So I can come here and type portraits. Yeah, so it's giving me different portraits. So let me choose this one. If I choose this one, see, it has automatically filled this circle with that image for me. So let's say I add a stroke, a white stroke, because if you check the edges, you'd see that it has white edges. So you can add stroke or border to the edges just to give it that white feel, to it. So I can duplicate this. They have 3 images there. Duplicate this again. So 3. And then if I move closer, layer them on top of each other. Layer this on top of this. And I can also click this and choose another image. Boom. So it's easy. See how it is just slotting it for me. I click on this. I choose another image. Boom. Slotting it easily for me. And then I layer all of them on top of each other. I pick my, ellipse tool again. So let me come here, 15 by 15. This is another way I can just define it. I come here, constrain the properties, and then I choose 15. So it has automatically made it the size of these guys for me. So I add this to it. Inside, so permit me to, inside our 15, what do we have? We have plus 15. Good. So I pick up my text tool again. I write plus 15. It's not as thick, so I make it medium. And then I reduce the font size all the way down to, let's say, 6. Okay. Let's drop this to 120. Good. So I bring this into this place. Okay. One other thing you see is that this particular one is white. So I can change the color of my circle to what? White. Now, in order for this white, because we are going to be putting white on top of white here. So in order for this white to show very well, there's one thing I can add, which is drop shadow. I'm sure some of us would be familiar with this. Can add a drop shadow just to make this my white show very well on top of the white. Because if I put white on white, it won't show. So one of the things that can make my white show very well is drop shadow. So let's say I quickly add drop shadow to, let me show you a shortcut again. I can pick all 3 of them. Instead of doing it one by one, pick all 3 of them and decide I want to add effects to all of them at once. And then I can make all of these 0. I can decide this. So it is making the change to all 3 of them at once. So now that we have this, I can easily bring this in here as the people that are discussing this particular, England defender to leave Man City. So for these lightning bolts, I already saved one for the purpose of this class. I bring this, let's reduce this to about, let's see, 20. Yeah, so I bring 20 in. Great. So I change the color of this to what? Yellow or orange, whatever you call it. Good. Finally, we have this button here. So you come choose this rectangle tool again or square tool, what have you. So you can make a square out of it, you can make a rectangle out of it, whichever one you choose. So let's say I want to put this thing at the center. All these places here are for aligning your components or your text. So I can align it, and then I'll know that it is in the center of this page. So what's this one is rounded to. So I'll come up here. Let me do 20 again. Yeah, and then it's rounded. This is color blue. Let's say I want to choose this color blue from here. There's the eyedropper tool that we can also use. So I come to fill, see this eyedropper tool. A lot of us that do graphics design will probably be familiar with it. And then I can choose, boom, straight, easy, and direct. Inside the, what do you call it? Inside this button, there is a text. I pick my text tool again. And then write comments. So I make it much bigger. Let's say 12. In fact, let me do 14. I drag it into this place. So you can see that the grids are already centrally aligning it for me. I change the text to what? To white. Good. Let's say for visibility, I want to do semi-bold. And there you have it. So, I mean, okay, let's add the arrow key and then the love key. So this one, I also constrain, make it what? 20. And then it's small. Good. I also change this love to what? Red. Yeah. Before I drag it, our, rectangle tool again, I bring it in. Let's make this 30. Okay, let's do 40 for this. And then I bring it into this place. Round the corners also, because if you can see, the corners for this one is rounded. I'm sure a lot of you are already excited at how simple designing the entire interface is. And then I bring this love emoji inside. And then the grids are already doing their work for me, snapping it in place. Good. And then finally, our arrow key. Boom. I also make this, let's see, let's do 30. 306. Good. Let me bring this in here. So we can't see it, which means we change the color to white. Yeah. And then our arrow key shows. So, I mean, we can begin to discuss a whole lot of things when we get into the class. Now, you see this one, and you put it side by side this one. You see that we're already pretty much close. So this is how quickly you can, design an interface. This is how quickly you can design an interface. Okay, so somebody is asking question, what about if you have your image on desktop? Oh, fantastic. So let's say I have my image on desktop now. I choose this particular, this is where I want to put my image, for example. This is where I want to put my image. I click on where I want my image to be. So you can go through this route. If you click on this, it will bring out this for you. You can change this to fill, can you see? And then you can switch back to image, and then it shows the image. So if you switch to image, it will show you choose image. If you click choose image, it will take you to your, what's it called? It will take you to your local disk to choose whatever image you want to choose from. Cancel. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is click on this, come to this particular place where you choose your shapes, and then choose place image. So it asks you to pick whichever one that you want to choose from. And then if you choose, okay, let me look for an image. Try not to use an image I shouldn't use. Give me a sec. Okay, let's see. Assets. No, assets. Okay, great. So I click on that image. Look at what it does. I come here, I drop it. So I don't know if that answers your question. Samuel Godwin, did that answer your question rather? Yeah, so it's pretty much easy. Oh, great. So another question, I joined very late. Is there a way I can have the video for me? Oh, yeah. So like they mentioned earlier, if you joined late, the class is being recorded and then you can easily have access to it. How do you import the icons? Okay. So another great question. So you can choose to get your icons from any source. One way I choose my icons is this. I use plugins also. So if you check my plugins here, you can see material design icons. You can see icons 8, icon scouts. Let me quickly show you how to add plugins. So you can add plugins either from here. So if you click on this and then you choose plugins, then you can search for any plugin you want to search for here, and then it will bring everything out for you. I think that's one feature that Figma added that makes it easy. And then if you want to go the longer route, you can come here and try to join the Figma community. Give me a sec. Yeah. Can come here through the community. Yeah. So if you come to this community part, you can search anything it is you want to search, and then get whatever it is that you want started. Yeah. So does that answer the question? Is it possible? So another question says, is it possible to resize the image or move in the shape? Oh, yes, it is. So let me quickly show you. From this particular place, I can decide I want to move the image or resize it. So instead of fill, so now that, let me not rush again. I click on this, I double click it. So it brings out this panel out. So from here, instead of fill, click a drop down, move to crop instead. So you see crop, you can now begin to adjust the image, whether I want the image to show up, whether I want it to come down. You can adjust the image as you want, and then tap enter when you're done. So you see that it has shifted the image up, it has brought it down. So you change it to crop when you want to do that. And then easy peasy. I don't know if that answers the question. Yeah. Can one work on Figma work online? Oh, yes. So Figma allows you to work online. However, when you're working on offline rather, Figma allows you to work offline. However, when you're working offline, um, what happens is any work you are doing is not saved until you go back online. Any work you are doing is not saved. So you might want to be pressing Ctrl S, Ctrl S, Ctrl S, and save your file or your design locally. If you are working offline, try to be saving your file locally. But if you are online, you don't need to even bother. If as I'm working now, if my computer goes off, as far as I'm online, it will continue exactly where I stopped if I power my computer on again. That's the perks of working online, but you can actually work offline with it. However, I must also mention, in as much as you can work offline, you need to be online to open Figma, to log into Figma. Yeah, you need to be online. So maybe you don't have too much data, turn on your data, open your Figma, and then turn it off, and then do all the work that you want to do. Maybe you can now turn it on again so that it can save your work, and then turn it off again. So if you're trying to manage data, that's one way you can go about it. Your Figma is limiting. Oh, so yeah, Figma has Figma has, evolved over time, and then they require you to pay money for you to increase your creation. Yeah, so it's a Figma thing. It's not you don't have any issues. So if Figma is limiting you, it's because they now want to make more money. So as a starter, you are probably limited to just 3 for now. Yeah. For the WhatsApp link, once we are done in this room, we'll move back to the other room We are not dropping off the call. We are moving back to the other room where, we can do what it is that we want to do. So you get the Figma link on that particular, page. Did I say Figma link? WhatsApp link rather. How do you draw the love, sir, in the rectangle box? Oh, I did not draw the love. I used an icon. But if you want to draw the love, my pen tool skill is not that great. If you want to draw the love, give me a sec. If you want to draw the love, you can choose your pen tool and decide to do this. Like get a love picture and then begin to trace out. So this is one of the ways you can actually use your pen tool. And then, so trace the entire thing out. And then once you trace it out, it automatically saves for you and you can, do whatever it is you want to do with it. But I did not draw it. I just used an icon. So I'll switch back to this so that we can finish up on the slides. Yeah, so I was saying earlier about how can you get started. Yes, sir. Okay. Yeah, so how to land a role in UI UX product design. You have to have an educational foundation, which Transition School is providing for you right now. I think it's, like I mentioned earlier, there's a whole lot to learn. You see, there's one thing that Transition School is doing that other people out there don't do, other people that teach. And it's the fact that you are going to be merged with other teams. A lot of schools out there will just teach you as a product designer or teach you UI UX design. Oh yeah, go and figure it out. But no. So one of the things that we are doing at Transition School is to ensure that you are working closely with other teams. One thing that you get a lot when you begin to interview for product design roles is your ability to work with cross-functional teams. Now, what cross-functional teams means is in an organization, it's not only a product team that will just be there or the design team that will be there. You probably have marketing team, you have data analysts, you have business analysts, you have all manner of teams. So your ability to work in tandem with all these teams can be like an extra factor for what the reason that they will choose you. So that is exactly what Transition School is doing. You have engineering team. There will be a project that will be chosen. So as you guys are designing, you are pushing your design to engineering team. They are teaching you how to hand over products or your design to engineers for implementation, teaching you how to document all manner of stuff. And that's one very important thing. So for me, I'm not very familiar with the pricing. So once we are done here, we'll move back to you just leave the breakout room and then head back to the other room, and then you can begin to ask about pricing, ask for the WhatsApp link again. Yeah, Chiamaka. So yeah, we give you the educational foundation, get you started in UX and UI, teach you all the tools that you require. In fact, in the class, one of the things we'll go into is micro interactions, how to link pages. You can move between pages. So you know how you have your WhatsApp that if you swipe to the right, it moves you to status. We'll teach you how to prototype all these things such that you can demo it. Because in a company, I'll share my experience. For example, one of the companies that I worked with, I was working, and then the people at higher level management required an evidence of what I've been working on. And one of the things I did was to prototype all my designs. After I prototype all my designs, I actually now showed them, I was able to demo the product to them as though it was real. So that's one of the things that, prototyping helps you with, adding micro interactions. And you can do that with Figma also. In fact, if I show you some of the things that I've designed on Figma, you'll probably be alarmed. Let me see if I can quickly show you. You can design a you know, a game screen in Figma. Give me a sec. Let me know if you can see my Figma screen. Just quickly drop it in the comment section. Yeah. So I call this page Call of Duty. So if you look at this, I designed this in Figma. Designed this in Figma. I'm sure you're probably wondering, how is this possible? How is this possible? Yeah, so it's an interface. It's simply an interface. So these are things that you can do with Figma. You can begin to design screens. One of the things I'm working on is to, you know, get started. And like I was saying earlier, you can work in any field. So if I want to move into the gaming sector now, for example, all I just need to do is work on many projects in the, you know, gaming sector, and then I'll get started so easily, begin to be. And all you are looking at here is nothing spectacular. It's a combination of texts, images, icons, resources, basically, how you put them together to make it come alive. And that's what makes the difference as product designers or UI UX designers. Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, we'll be building a strong portfolio for you. You gain practical experience, and that's what I was saying earlier. You will see practical experience. You will network with other teams. You speak with engineers. You define design measurements, or how to implement their design. Is it in pixels? Is it in percentages? You will interact with them. You would have a project manager managing you. You probably have design sprints, have scrum meetings, and all of those things, such that it's a real life experience of you actually building a product. So when you're face to face with an interviewer, you are talking as though you've actually had real life experience, because that's exactly what, you know, transition school is, you know, selling to you. So trust me, you might want to be thinking maybe the price is big, but for what you'll be getting in return, trust me, it's you can't compare. Give me a sec. Yeah, one other thing that you would also gain is network in the industry. Network in the industry. That's one thing that I try to do as a person, try to get in connection with as many people as I could, and then you stay up to date. You are continually learning, continually learning. That's one thing that I know that I've never stopped learning. If you think that, oh, you already know this, they'll just drop one feature again in Figma, and then you are trying to get to learn Figma. So one of the newest features they've done on Figma is auto constraints and all those things, alignments, how to make your web design or your product design much more responsive. So these are things you want to learn. And then these are some job platforms that you can apply through. By the time you get to the point where you want to apply for jobs, internships, and all those things, we'll begin to explore that. And that is simply how to land the role. So thank you very much. Guys.
Thank you so much. All right, so I wanted us to close the breakout room. Thank you so much for that, Remy. We'd go into the other room to take feedback about your classes from them. So guys, thank you so much. Let's go back to the main room now. What you can do is click on leave and then leave the breakout room. Don't leave the meeting. Just leave the breakout room. Don't worry, we're going to the